Hello everyone. Today we are on a subject that is quite close to my heart because it happens to involve the university that I graduated from. I spent 3 years at this university and honestly, seeing this news, I am surprised it took this long for something like this to happen. And you can probably tell from the title what this is, but we are going to go through it very methodically because I really want to get to the heart of this issue because it is the biggest piece of hypocrisy I think I have ever seen. So Leicester University's Student Union website has a web page of LeicsDecolonise. And the first thing is, what is the LeicsDecolonise campaign? LeicsDecolonise is a student-led campaign dedicated to lobbying our university to divest from companies complicit in the climate crisis and oppression, democratising our university so that power is in the hands of the broader student staff community, and confronting the ways in which our curriculum reinforce structural racism and other forms of domination. Now, as you can probably tell, that is just a whole load of waffle about we are against bad thing and for good thing. I.e. they're saying we are going to lobby and put pressure on the university to get away from, let's say, oil companies and things like that. But also we're going to pressurise them to basically ban things that we think are colonial, while at the same time pushing for things such as equality and things like that. As I say, none of this is really concrete stuff. It just sounds good. It is typical student politics, and this is why I avoided student politics. It also comes with a handy little introductory video, so, well, we may as well have a watch.
Feel as if the curriculum is unrepresentative and not fit for purpose?
What, do you mean, is the English curriculum teaching me English literature? Because I'd call that fit for purpose and representative of English. Or do you mean the geology department all of a sudden decided to teach us about critical race theory? Because luckily that wasn't happening at my time at university, though near the end they were doing a big push for women in geology. Which at least it was still relevant to geology, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to push just for women in positions of power in general in the geology department now. Hell, they might get rid of every single white geologist in the department, which was every lecturer.
Do you believe in a free and liberated education system where marginalised students and staff are at the forefront of setting the terms of our education?
You see, again, it's just students pushing neo-Marxism here. Why should, quote-unquote, marginalised, as you put them, which all they really mean there is a minority demographic, whichever one that may be. Apparently they're the types that should be in charge of what the curriculum is, which I don't really see a reason for that. The people who set the curriculum are the people who have worked within the department for years and are experts on the subject. Why should, quote-unquote, marginalised or minority demographic people just randomly be given that opportunity for no reason other than the fact they're not in the majority demographic? Honestly, as I say, I went to this university. I am not at all surprised that this is the type of stuff coming out of the student politics.
Do you want to make sure that your contributions and tuition fees are being ethically invested and are not inadvertently enabling the climate crisis or oppression?
Okay, so a little anecdote from the university. The student union would completely redevelop the inside of the student union. Like between first and second year I was there, they got a random truck and just parked it in the middle of the student union and it started selling pancakes out of it. And they'd completely redeveloped the shop and things like that. And the reason they did this was to make sure that they were spending the money they were given, so they were given the same amount next year. They were literally spending money for the hell of it. So the point being is that the student union is basically massively wasting money just so they can get more money the next year to waste it again. And I'm being told by the student union, oh, do you want your money being invested unethically? No, I didn't think so. And I'm sat here thinking, yeah, but the student union wastes money anyway, so what's your point?
Then look no further than LeicsDecolonise.
Hashtag LeicsDecolonise is a student-led campaign dedicated to decolonising education and service provisions here at the University of Leicester.
Again, as it is with all these hashtag decoloniseX campaigns, they don't really tell you what they mean. Because what they actually mean is, I want less white people in my curriculum, and I will prove that by the end of the video.
Decolonisation centres the impact of colonialism and aims to undo its legacies and norms established through it.
Again, not really any specifics there, it's just I'm against bad things still. Come on, give me something, give me anything concrete, and I will have a look at it and try and entertain this ridiculous idea of yours. Come on, give me something.
In a university setting, its legacy can be seen through structural racism, through a Eurocentric curriculum, awarding and satisfaction gaps between students of colour and their white counterparts, and the way our marketized system of learning delivery treats education as a commodity as opposed to a right.
Boom! Pure neo-Marxism. Again, oh, the university is structurally racist. Yeah, again, something more concrete, come on. Oh, it's Eurocentric. Well, yeah, no duh, dummy. England happens to be a European country. And yes, I can't speak for the award gaps between students of colour, oh god, I hate the term, and white students. But as for satisfaction, well, if your criteria for being satisfied is I want to see less white people, honestly that is something that I couldn't care less about, but that's all you seem to care about here. And once again, education is not a right, it is a privilege. But of course, because these lunatics see it as a right, they see it as something that has to be moulded around their sensibilities and what they want. Well, pucker up, buttercup, because education ain't supposed to be easy, and it's not supposed to cater to your every want. There's stuff I've had to learn that I've had no interest in.
It's not only about equaling the playing field, but about making sure that all barriers and systems of oppression are dismantled.
Again, just a completely meaningless statement with empty platitudes. And what do you mean it's not just about levelling the playing field? What playing field are you trying to level? And again, specifics. You just keep saying, oh, there's barriers of oppression. Where? What are you talking about? God, you better explain this, I swear to God.
Our campaign objectives are threefold.
Democratisation. Making sure our university executive board are accountable and transparent to students and staff, and that marginalised groups are at the forefront of dictating the terms of our education.
Okay, already we're into massive problems and hypocrisy. So I'm totally fine with the board of directors of the university being transparent and accountable. That's fine with me. The problem comes in when you try and say this is a democratisation, and within the same point say, oh, by the way, the minority groups need to have the loudest voice. That's just a retarded way of seeing democracy. No wonder universities are ruined in this country. I mean, seriously, that's like saying, hey, we want the majority voice to be what we follow. Oh, but that majority voice has to be of the minority demographic. Just doesn't make any goddamn sense. And this is also why I'm a massive push for integration. I don't think these people should be seeing each other as different if they are all British. Of course, when it comes to foreign students, it's a little different, but from the sound of it, most of these people are not from foreign countries. They do sound like they were born and raised in Britain.
Divestment, ensuring that the university divests from companies and institutions complicit in the climate crisis and oppression in the global south, and that investments are made in line with the ethical investment policy.
Climate change bad, investing in the global south because it's poorer is also bad. Of course, one thing these students probably don't realise is that if we don't invest in the global south, China will do it instead, and that is a hell of a lot more unethical than anything that the West will be doing.
Curriculum and education. Working with academics to challenge, complement and critique the inherently romanticised Eurocentric nature of our curriculum and learning methods, with perspectives and worldviews of those who are marginalised and were colonised coming to the forefront.
Okay, point 3 is essentially just the exact same thing as point 1. I mean, literally, that is the same as saying I want them to be transparent and we want to work with them and hold them to account. While at the same time saying that it is the marginalised people and people who were historically colonised to be at the forefront of this. Of course, if these people were historically colonised from other countries, then it appears that they have been completely welcomed into this country, as they clearly all have British accents. Of course, that's not good enough for these people. There were historic injustices, I hear. And because of that, they now need to, quote-unquote, decolonise the universities in England. Which, when you think about it, doesn't make a lot of sense. This is essentially colonisation of our curriculum, as this curriculum has been developed over hundreds of years, essentially. And eventually, these cretins have just come in and said, no, that's not good enough for our sensibilities. We are going to force you to change them. And personally, I think that's a bit of a dick move, but what do I know? I'm white. So let's move on and see what some of the things they're doing to decolonise the curriculum are. So, become a curriculum consultant. £250 reward upon completion. Oh my lord, look at all the crap money they're throwing around. The Student Unions is very excited to announce, in collaboration with the Leicester Learning Institute, our new curriculum consultancy project as part of the LeicsDecolonise. This is a paid opportunity for students to work with academics in co-contributing to developments in our curriculum so that it is more inclusive, representative of our lived experiences, particularly that of students of colour and students from marginalised backgrounds. The aim is to build a curriculum that is relevant and empowers students to be active citizens of change both during and after their time of the University of Leicester. Thank God I never got involved in this shit. I think the most political thing I had to do was I was part of the Student Airsoft Society as the secretary. And at one point, we were essentially told we've basically not got enough women in our society. So it was suggested by the president of it that maybe we should have an event where we invite the Feminist Society. To which the point was made that during sign-ups in the Freshers' Fair, we ended up getting more women than men signing up for the first event. After the first event, it turned out the women wasn't really their thing, and more of the men stayed on to play more airsoft. Exactly what we are supposed to do about women's aversion to airsoft is beyond me, but inviting the feminists along probably wouldn't have been a good idea. Luckily, nothing really came of it. Of course, I have other anecdotes from university, but if you want to hear them, catch my live streams. Anyway, let's get a job description. We are looking to recruit up to 20 curriculum consultants, open to first and second year undergraduate students as well as postgraduate taught students, to work at an individual course level projects alongside academics developing action plans to decolonise the curriculum in time for these to be implemented for the next academic year. Once projects are completed, students will be provided with a financial reward of £250, as well as a certificate of acknowledgement. Well done, you are ruining academics. We will also be providing training on concepts such as decolonisation, how to push for change, as well as how to best utilise the partnerships you will be forming. Applications are open until Tuesday, the 19th of January. Damn, we just missed it. For more details to apply, please click here. All of this will form the curriculum strand of the LeicsDecolonise campaign and ultimately feed into the SU's long-term goal of decolonising education. If there are any questions about the project or the roles, then please feel free to email either any of these people. Okay, if you're watching this video, don't contact any of these people, please. It is not worth it. We have to be smart about what we do, and contacting these people is not smart. But moving off that, this job description really doesn't tell you anything about what you're actually going to be doing, apart from talking to other academics. That's literally it. Oh, you're going to be, doing this project alongside academics, developing action plans to decolonise the curriculum. Doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? We still don't know what decolonise the curriculum means in their own words. Luckily, we can actually tell from their actions, which we will get onto soon, don't worry. So the rest of the page was just going through, once again, their 3 steps to decolonising the curriculum, which were in the video we went through before. And it also had a podcast done by people from the Student Union, which I have absolutely no interest in going through in this video. But at the end they had a link to this webpage. Why is my curriculum white? What is the campaign about? Why is my curriculum white is part of a wider campaign, LeicsDecolonise. This strand of the campaign seeks to highlight the gaps in our curriculum and teaching, what it means to decolonise the curriculum, and how we can empower both staff and students on the ground to make change and ensure that university leaderships live up to the promises and commitments made to students at the Inclusivity Ideathon last academic year. Oh god, that sounds so gay. The campaign will consist of panel events and workshops throughout the year designed to increase our knowledge but also empower us to push for a curriculum that is representative and inclusive of all students and staff. Please do follow the campaign and keep your eyes peeled for the events we will be holding throughout the year. We look forward to working with and welcoming you all. Yeah, this is disgusting. Essentially, this is like me going into an African university and saying, why is the curriculum so black? If that doesn't disgust you, then I don't know what to do for you. But again, it is very selective standards. Anything that is deemed to be Eurocentric is terrible and needs to be decolonised. Anything that is fully black, in their words, or really helps out people of colour, whether it's at the expense of white people or not, totally fine. In fact, we need more of that. So essentially, this is what it looks like decolonise the curriculum means. It literally does mean getting rid of whitey, which, knowing that this is happening at the university I went to, does make me feel a bit more than just a bit uneasy. And there isn't an awful lot more on this webpage, apart from some of the previous events, which I'm just going to highlight 3 that just have me laughing because they're so ridiculous. Thursday the 13th of February, Eugenics and Scientific Racism, a Conversation. Okay. Exactly what that's got to do with my curriculum being excessively white is beyond me. Wednesday the 4th of March, Womixon in STEM speed networking event in collaboration with Careers Development Service, which, by the way, was absolute wank at uni. Basically, whenever I got a call from them, it was essentially, oh, you do geology, why don't you go into a mine? absolutely pointless. I am now a software developer. And University of Leicester Women in STEM Society. I absolutely love in this one how they spell women into completely different ways. It's amazing. And then finally, Wednesday the 6th of November, Decolonising Education Workshop. A workshop aimed at student reps designed to empower and equip them with both a knowledge for the importance of decolonisation and the practical skills to decolonise on a local level. Again, empty platitudes and no real specifics. I still don't really know what decolonise the curriculum means, apart from get rid of Whitey from my curriculum. But, I mean, we're over 15 minutes into this video, and I still have really no idea what decolonise the curriculum means, apart from can we please loudon people who don't like their curriculum if they happen to be black, please. So this week it was announced that Chaucer courses to be replaced by modules on race and sexuality under University of Leicester plans. Beowulf and the Canterbury Tales could be sidelined under plans for the English department. So, for those who don't know, Geoffrey Chaucer is known as the father of English poetry and wrote the incredibly famous poems of the Canterbury Tales, which follow a pack of pilgrims as they travel from Northumbria, I believe, to Canterbury down in the south of England on a Christian pilgrimage. And I actually did have to read it at school when I was about 11 or 12. I don't remember too much of it, but it was enjoyable from what I remember. And it's probably vital to learn if you are learning English literature. You probably want to know about where English poetry comes from. So to have it sidelined at an English university in an English curriculum sounds absolutely ridiculous. So the University of Leicester will stop teaching Geoffrey Chaucer's work and other medieval literature in favour of modules on race and sexuality, according to new proposals. Management told the English department that courses on canonical works will be dropped for modules students expect as part of plans now under consultation. Why would you expect modules on race and sexuality in an English degree? This is the end goal, it seems. Students expect race and sexuality in the curriculum, therefore we must have it. No, fuck that. If I were to do a science degree, I would expect scientifically relevant modules. I wouldn't expect anything on race in physics. I wouldn't expect anything on Geoffrey Chaucer in chemistry. And I wouldn't expect to be learning German literature and French. This is the exact same thing, but for some reason, no. The students expect X, therefore we need X. No. Fuck what the students expect. The students go there to learn a curriculum that they chose and read through. You don't just change it because a lot of students said they expected something. Well, fuck their expectations. They're not learning that here. Grow a backbone, Leicester. Foundational texts like the Canterbury Tales and Anglo-Saxon epic Beowulf will no longer be taught under proposals to scrap medieval literature. Instead, the English faculty will be refocused to drop centuries of the literary canon and deliver a decolonised curriculum devoted to diversity. It's like a new religion. This ideology has taken people so hard that now the ultimate virtue is diversity. Which we all know doesn't mean diversity. We've all seen the picture of a bunch of black models and it says this is the most diverse picture ever of the exact same skin-toned women. All it means is anti-white and everyone knows it. There's no point even hiding it at this point, and I don't understand people who still try and argue against it. So, next. Academics now facing redundancy were told via email. Oh my god, that is the sweetest sentence I've read all day. The aim of our proposals are to offer a suite of undergraduate degrees that provide modules which students expect of an English degree by taking out classical English poems and stories. New modules described as excitingly innovative would cover a chronological literary history, a selection of modules on race, ethnicity, sexuality and diversity, a decolonised curriculum, and new employability modules. Oh my lord, we actually had employability modules. They're a bit of a waste of time, if I'm honest. Professors were told to facilitate change management planned to stop all English language courses, cease medieval literature, and reduce early modern literature offerings. It was claimed that this would refocus and strengthen the department. Right, well that is one way of putting it when you are planning to stop all English language courses in an English degree. I suppose you could call that innovative, though it is also completely retarded. I mean, honestly, this decision literally does look like it was made by first and second year student busybodies who have actually never done this course. And if they did take this course, then of course your satisfaction's going to be low because it looks like they just haven't attended any lecture. So the article goes on, despite Chaucer's position as the father of English literature, the 14th century figure will no longer be taught if plans currently under construction go ahead. They would end all teaching on texts central to the development of the English language, including the Dark Age epic poem Beowulf and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. I don't understand how you can have an English degree without the actual formations of the English language. That is ridiculous. Sir Thomas Malory's Mont d'Arthur, the Viking sagas, and all works written earlier than 1500 would also be removed from the syllabus, presumably because of slavery, which I obviously say facetiously because there wasn't really any slavery in England ever until the Empire and the transatlantic slave trade from about, 1500 and beyond. But I would not be surprised if these people cite slavery as a reason for getting rid of these. Cuts to early modern English modules could see texts John Milton's Paradise Lost omitted according to concerned academics, with teaching on Christopher Marlowe and John Donne potentially reduced. I don't actually know who either of those people are, but I assume if they're in this curriculum already, they are important, and likely made large strides in developing the English language, which would more than likely be important to know in an English degree. The University of Leicester has said that teachings on William Shakespeare's work will remain in place, so at least they're not absolutely mental. Staff do not have the same certainty and were alerted to the change and the threat of redundancies on Monday, with 60 jobs under threat. Okay. Many more roles are likely to be reassigned as specialist subjects are replaced. So not only are they getting rid of these highly important subjects in the English curriculum, the people who teach them, 60 of them, are likely to lose their job because of it. Plans for restructuring at the university were announced in 2020, with management seeking to ensure courses were sustainable for the next decade of student intake. Wow. President and Vice-Chancellor Professor Nishan Kanagaraha said that the changing modules was part of the long-term strategy to compete on a global level, adding to facilitate this, we may need to cease activity in a limited number of areas. Oh, because how can Leicester compete on the world market in their English degree if they have, English poets in the curriculum? How are they supposed to compete if they actually teach the subjects that they say they're going to teach? While teaching on almost 1,000 years of English language and its literature may be subject to cuts, the university has pledged that students will still receive comprehensive education. Yeah, they just won't know about Geoffrey Chaucer or Beowulf, two fairly important stories and poems I assume are very important for the English curriculum, because they've been on there, presumably, for over 100 years. But apparently at this point the students said, no, we don't expect Geoffrey Chaucer, we expect things on sexuality, race, gender and all that shit. Why do professors listen to students? But I'm amazed that the Vice-Chancellor is even trying to defend this by saying, oh, we're trying to future-proof it. Apparently that implies to me that the future has nothing to do with medieval England or, any white writers in the English curriculum. Apart from at least Shakespeare, but I would not be surprised if they try and push that he was black or something. Or woman, I've heard that conspiracy theory before. I remember a popular rewriting of history in the science departments at Leicester just before I left was saying that Rosalind Franklin, who provided the images to prove the double helix of DNA, was the actual discoverer of DNA, and the two blokes who actually came up with the theory were just taking her work, which isn't the case at all. They came up with the theory, wrote it in a journal, and even happily referenced her for providing the images they needed to prove this. But no, the woman must have done it because all women were written out of history. That's just the way it goes now, apparently. Anyway, let's finish up this article. A spokeswoman said, we are currently considering some proposed changes to our English programme and are consulting with staff as part of these discussions. So the staff weren't even consulted on whether these changes would be a good idea yet. They're only now being asked, and given that most of these staff are probably going to get fired, I wouldn't be surprised if they're against it, but they're probably racist, so let's just get rid of them. The University of Leicester continues to offer students a broad programme of learning at undergraduate level, including a chronological span of English literature from Shakespeare to Bernardine Evaristo, I have no idea who that is, but again, that used to be from Geoffrey Chaucer all the way to Bernardine, which covers another 500 years, so why wouldn't you add them? Alongside thematically driven and author-driven modules. We are committed to the future sustainability of teaching English, and we will continue to work with our staff and our students to deliver this. Consultation will begin next week on the future of the English faculty roles placed under threat of redundancy. So there you go. Because students are ideologically possessed by this religion of diversity, they are now costing jobs and costing the reputation of the English department in the University of Leicester. I mean, 60 staff being replaced in the University of Leicester's English department? I mean, from what I remember, the English department isn't that big. 60 staff sounds like the majority of the staff there. It's like they're getting completely replaced. But it seems to me that this is the aim of decolonising the curriculum. I mean, Shakespeare was left in on this particular purge, but I imagine he will be taken out in the coming decades, especially since they want to be quote-unquote diverse. So it seems that decolonising the curriculum, as they say, oh, we just want to be democratic, but louden the voices of the quote-unquote marginalised. If that means that we end up getting rid of very important works in our English curriculums, I don't see how that can be a good thing. And this is going to affect every department. Which, when it comes to geology, I can't think of a single geologist that we learned about that wasn't white. So they're probably going to come after that at some point soon too. But it made sense because throughout history, geology was pretty much exclusively an English subject until it went international in around the mid-1900s. And this will likely be the same with every other subject in every department in Leicester. I mean, they're paying £250 per first or second year student who feels like they want to be a busybody and help with diversity. So yeah, things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. And they are incentivised to spend this money because the more they spend, the more money they are allocated from the uni. So yeah, decolonising the curriculum. Don't know what it means until the action finally happens, and it turns out it means less whiteys in our curriculums. By the way, this is also going to cost 60 jobs to your department. Lovely stuff. That is exactly what you want to hear in the middle of a pandemic, but, well, there we go. That's everything I had for you today. I'm going to stop before I get too depressed about my alma mater. So, as usual, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.